I've been in a relationship with David Johnson for 6 years. In the end, our love couldn't withstand the test of his first love. David, my wedding is next week. Do you want to come? David was taken aback for a moment, then quickly said, Emma, it's too hasty for our wedding next week. I'm still on a business trip. Can we wait until I get back? I knew he was actually going on a trip with his first love, but I just smiled and said, okay. What he didn't know was that I was getting married next week. And the groom wasn't him. 6 years ago, I was the shining star on campus. I not only had outstanding looks but also ranked among the top in my studies, let alone my enviable family background. My parents ran a successful company, and my grandfather held an important position in the military region. Undoubtedly, I was a lucky one born with a silver spoon in my mouth. As for David, he wasn't the kind of handsome guy who could immediately catch people's eyes. But the gentle aura he exuded was impossible to ignore. Our first encounter was in the library full of the fragrance of books. That day, he was accompanying his girlfriend, Olivia Davis, to borrow books, and I happened to be walking out of the library. At that moment, our figures crossed inadvertently, and I accidentally bumped into him. Oh, I'm really sorry. I quickly apologized, with a hint of panic in my voice. It doesn't matter. Just be more careful next time, he replied with a smile, his gentle voice making my heart flutter. I left in a hurry but faintly heard Olivia's joking voice behind me. Don't be too gentle, or they'll all fall in love with you. I only love you, he responded dotingly. At that moment, a strange feeling of envy welled up in my heart. It seemed that I was also infected by their sweetness and had the urge to fall in love. However, just 1 month later, David suddenly appeared in front of me and confessed his love. I was so shocked that the pen in my hand dropped to the ground. I couldn't believe my ears and asked, "What did you say?" He repeated, "Emma, I want you to be my girlfriend." I stood there stunned and it took me a long time to squeeze out a sentence. "Are you crazy?" Then I rushed out of the door. From then on, he would appear punctually downstairs of the girls' dormitory every day, holding a carefully prepared breakfast for me. Even though I threw the breakfast away again and again, he never gave up. My roommates joked one after another. "Emma, is he really into you? Otherwise, what else could it be? Bringing you breakfast and gifts every day. Isn't that a sign of love?" They retorted. I smiled helplessly and said, "Don't you remember? His official girlfriend is Olivia." But my roommates told me a shocking piece of news. Olivia has dropped out of school. I heard that David caught her being intimate with another boy. My heart tightened. So, is he taking me as a substitute? In a blink of an eye, winter came. David still brought me warm breakfast every day as before. It was impossible not to be touched after more than half a year. But I couldn't accept being someone else's substitute. That day, when he was about to turn around and leave, I finally summoned up the courage to call out to him, "David." He stopped in his tracks, his eyes shining with surprise. "Emma, do you agree?" I looked up and met his eyes, and seriously asked, "David, I don't want to be anyone's substitute. I'm just Emma." He excitedly held my hand. "Emma, you are who you are. Unique. What I like is you, and it has nothing to do with anyone else." At that moment, I decided to give him a chance and also give myself a chance. I told him that if he could behave well in the next month, I would agree to be his girlfriend. 2 months later, our relationship was officially established, and I became an example of happiness in the eyes of my friends. Deep in my heart, however, due to the influence of my family background, I always maintained an indescribable sense of conservatism. Although we loved each other, I always kept an insurmountable line in front of the door of marriage. But it seemed that everything was just my assumption. He never touched me. For 6 years, he never even stayed in the same room with me. During these 6 years, I always quietly followed behind him and witnessed him gradually transform from a greenhorned young man into a mature and steady man. Whenever the night was quiet, I would always ask him, "David, when will we get married?" And he always vaguely replied, saying that the company wasn't stable yet and that everything would fall into place when the time was right. Days passed by like this. Year after year, I was patiently waiting with a longing for the future in my heart. However, after 6 whole years, I still hadn't received a definite answer from him. Whenever night fell and I sat alone by the window, staring at the twinkling lights in the distance, my heart was filled with indescribable disappointment. Today is the 6th anniversary of our acquaintance. He once said that he would always remember this special day. I prepared a sumptuous dinner and carefully selected a gift with full expectation, quietly waiting for him to come back from work. However, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. A full 4 hours passed, and he didn't make a single phone call or even send a single text message. I picked up my phone and was about to dial his number when a message suddenly popped up. "You've been with him for 6 years. It's time to back out." My heart tightened suddenly. I swiped the screen with my finger and replied, "Who are you?" "Emma. Do you want to know who I am? I'll satisfy your curiosity." Then, 5 photos were sent to my phone in a row. I slowly clicked them open. At that moment, my breathing seemed to stop. In the photos, David and Olivia were extremely intimate, kissing, hugging, and there were even more intimate scenes. How about it? Remember now. See, he still loves me in his heart. It's just photos. You were the one who let him down first. Then listen to the following. A voice message came into my phone. "David, who's more important, me or Emma?" Silly girl. What do you think? You'll always be my one and only love. Then, what about Emma? How can she compare with you? Be good and give me a kiss. The phone slipped from my hand, and tears welled up in my eyes and ran down my cheeks. If you don't believe it, come to Moonlight Bar, Box 202. Half an hour later, I walked step by step towards that familiar bar. I'd come here countless times to pick him up when he was drunk. It seemed that I already had an answer in my heart, and this feeling was so bitter that it was hard to bear. The door of the box was not closed. Just as I was about to push it open, I heard their conversation. I stopped in my tracks and hid to one side. "David, 6 years have passed. You're really patient. You're really a man who can achieve great things," his friend Robert joked. David raised his eyebrows and said, "If it weren't for Emma's family background, do you think I'd have separated from Olivia?" I was shocked all over and listened to all this in disbelief. David just heard from others that Emma's grandfather holds a pivotal position in the military region, and the company founded by her parents is second to none in Beijing, said Olivia. "Olivia." It was Olivia's voice. At that moment, I understood everything. David and Olivia had never really separated. I wiped away my tears and turned to leave. "David, you're really something." The moment I got back to my apartment, I dumped the carefully prepared dinner and those heartfelt gifts into the trash can all at once. Looking at the pile of discarded items, my heart felt as if it had been soaked in vinegar, so bitter that it ached. So, it was me who had given my heart in vain. After pulling myself together, I walked into the bedroom and dialed that number that always made me feel warm, my grandfather's. On the other end of the phone, my grandfather's voice rang out quickly, still so steady and reassuring. "Who is it?" "Oh, it's my precious granddaughter. What's up? Do you miss your grandpa today?" My eyes welled up with tears. "Yeah, I miss you. And I also miss Mom and Dad." "What's wrong? Who made you unhappy? Tell Grandpa quickly, and I'll go and teach him a lesson for you." "Grandpa, you said there's a handsome guy in the army who's your soldier. Is he married?" I tried to change the subject. "Not yet. That guy is very picky. He doesn't take a fancy to any of the girls introduced by the army. But when I mentioned you, he said he'd like to meet you," Grandpa said with a smile. "Then let's meet." "Grandpa, I want to settle down, I said softly. Grandpa was obviously a bit surprised. What about your boyfriend? We broke up. We're not suitable, I replied briefly. Grandpa seemed to understand something and spoke even more gently. Emma, if you're tired outside, come home. Grandpa will always be your strongest support. Okay, Grandpa. I'll go back to Beijing as soon as possible. The day after tomorrow at the latest. It was late at night and quiet. Just as the clock struck 1, Robert's call came as expected. Emma, David's drunk. Come and pick him up. It's still the old place. A sneer curled up on my lips. I thought to myself, here comes this act again. I replied indifferently. Robert, I'm not feeling well today. Let David stay at your place for the night. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone, and then he said, all right, I'll send him back tomorrow. After hanging up the phone, I found a big bag and packed all the clothes and gifts David had given me into it, including the carefully selected ones that now seemed worthless to me. After everything was in order, I picked up the bag and walked to the trash can outside. Without hesitation, I threw it in. Back in the room, I took a hot shower, changed into comfortable pajamas, and lay in bed. Recalling the little details of the past 6 years, I felt like a fool being played around by him. I couldn't help but find it ridiculous. I picked up my phone, changed my profile picture and username on the social media, and blocked my friends' posts, as if I was going to bid a complete farewell to the past. Early the next morning, when I opened my eyes, I found David Johnson standing in front of my bed, looking at me guiltily. I frowned, and my voice was still a bit hoarse. When did you come back? David Johnson lowered his head. Just got back. Emma, I'm sorry. Last night. I didn't mean it. I'm going on a business trip today. I'll make it up to you next Sunday. I endured the disgust in my heart and forced a smile. It doesn't matter. You're so busy with work. I won't take such a small thing to heart. David Johnson's eyes lit up. Emma, look. This is the necklace I bought especially for you. Try it on and see if it looks good. He took out a necklace from his pocket and wanted to put it on me. I took the necklace and said indifferently, let's put it on next week then. Who cares about your stuff, David? This necklace was probably what Olivia Davis didn't want. Okay, he agreed. Then went to take a shower and change his clothes. When he left, as usual, he kissed my forehead, and I kissed his cheek as well. Come back soon. After seeing David off, I went to the bank, withdrew cash, and personally canceled the bank card that carried our shared memories. Then, I walked into a mobile phone store, chose a brand new SIM card, and bought a brand new phone, preparing for a new life. After everything was ready, I contacted my friend Sophia Miller and made an appointment to meet her at a coffee shop. What did you say? You're leaving. Where to? Inside the coffee shop. Sophia looked at me in shock. I gently patted her hand, motioning her to sit down. Don't be nervous. I'm going back to Jing City. Sophia, Jing City is my home, my destination. What about you and David? She hesitated. Maybe it was a mistake from the beginning between us. Now, it's time to go back to our respective starting points. I looked out of the window, my eyes full of bitterness. Did he do something to hurt you? Sophia said angrily. I was slightly stunned. Why do you say so? You trust him too much. When he went on a business trip this time, I saw him go into a hotel with a woman. Sophia whispered to me. My heart tightened. And then, later, they stayed inside for a long time before coming out. When they came out, he had changed his clothes. Sophia's voice was full of sympathy. The coffee in my hand gradually cooled. I gently stirred it, and the ripples in the cup were like the surging emotions in my heart at the moment. Sophia's words were like a blunt knife, slowly cutting across my heart, leaving an indelible mark. I tried to keep calm and asked, Are you sure it was him? Sophia nodded, her eyes full of worry. Although I only saw his back, I'm too familiar with him. I definitely can't be wrong. I lowered my head. The name David Johnson used to be the warmest corner in my heart, but now it has become the pain I most want to escape. I took a deep breath, trying to bury these emotions in my heart, and said softly, "Thank you for telling me, Sophia. Maybe this is fate. Some relationships are doomed not to last long." After meeting with my friend, I didn't have many regrets. As for that SIM card, I also went to the service center without hesitation to cancel it. I booked a flight ticket to Jing City online. It was time to go home. In the afternoon, I started to clean up the room. I packed up and threw away all the things related to me in the bedroom, bathroom, and living room. Pulling my suitcase, I stood at the door, took a last look at the place where I had lived for 6 years, and there was no trace of attachment in my heart. I resolutely turned around and set foot on the journey back to Jing City. After boarding the plane, I looked at the white clouds outside the window, and my heart was surprisingly calm. Although 6 years of my youth had gone to waste, I would walk the future road well for myself. It had been a whole week since I got home. During this week, I didn't think about anything. I just stayed at home enjoying delicious food, sleeping soundly, and using my new phone. Life was so cozy without any disturbance. One day, I was lying in bed, lazily playing with my hair when my mom opened the door and came in. She whispered to me, "Emma, your grandpa said that Michael Brown from the military has free time today and wants to meet you." I turned my head and looked at my mom with a bit of resentment. "Mom, are you so eager to marry me off?" My mom's expression instantly became serious. She looked at me seriously. "Emma, tell me the truth. Did David do something to make you unhappy?" "Mom, why do you ask that?" I asked in surprise. "Don't I know you? You insisted on being with him back then. After 6 years, you suddenly say you want to come home. Can I not think more about it?" My mom sighed. I shook my head helplessly. "Mom, David and I really aren't suitable. He's not my final destination. I really don't want to say more about other things." "Okay. Mom won't force you." My mom compromised. "As long as you've thought it through yourself. Hurry up and get dressed after cleaning up. Go meet that guy this afternoon." "Yeah," I replied. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my grandfather, father, and mother were all at home, waiting for the military officer who was supposed to meet me at my place. I was filled with curiosity. What kind of person could be so traditional as to arrange a meeting in this way? At exactly 3 o'clock, he showed up at the door on time. I was at a loss for words to describe him. He stood straight, exuding an indescribable air of fortitude. His skin had been tanned to a healthy bronze by the sun and wind, a mark left by years and training. His thick eyebrows slanted into his temples, adding a touch of heroism to his face. He was dressed in a neat military uniform, and his epaulets sparkled in the sunlight, making him look even more valiant and imposing. He strode in with steady steps, each one full of power, revealing the pride and dignity of a soldier. He stepped forward to greet my grandfather. "Grandpa Smith, how have you been lately?" My grandfather laughed heartily. "I'm doing great. It's been ages since you last came to see me. Come on. Let me introduce you." My grandfather took my hand and introduced him to me. "This is Emma, my granddaughter. Emma, this is Michael Brown, the youngest major." Michael Brown. Why did this name sound so familiar? But I just couldn't recall where I'd met him. "Emma," he called softly. His voice was so pleasant. I looked up into his eyes, and at that moment, all the other men I'd ever known seemed to pale in comparison. "Michael, don't scare Emma. You're being so reckless." A gentle voice came from behind him. I turned my head and saw a woman about my mother's age. She had a softer aura than my mother. My mother pulled me over to her and introduced me happily. "Look, this is our Emma. What do you think? She's as beautiful as you were back then," she said with a smile. "Of course," my mother said proudly. "Emma, this is Michael's mother, Call her Aunt Green. Aunt Green. The first called softly. Hey, my dear girl, she said with a smile, taking out a jewelry box from her bag and stuffing it into my hand. This is my gift for you. I was about to decline when I heard that deep voice again. Take it. My mom really likes you. As night fell, after dinner, I strolled in the quiet courtyard with Michael. Why did you suddenly let go? Michael's question was like a gentle breeze, rippling across the lake of my heart. I was slightly taken aback and asked in return, let go of what? Why did you agree to your grandfather's arrangement? Did that guy disappoint you? There was an emotion in his eyes that I couldn't quite understand. I frowned in confusion. You know I had a boyfriend. Did my grandfather tell you? Emma, have you really let go? Michael's voice was low. 6 years. If I said I've let go, I probably wouldn't even believe myself. But I am moving forward. I sighed softly. 6 years had made me see a lot. Michael stared at me and suddenly asked, Emma, do you really not remember who I am? Huh? Do we know each other? I was full of doubts. A look of disappointment flashed across his eyes. He said slowly, do you know what this meeting means? Of course I do. I nodded. If you're not willing to accept this arranged marriage, I'll go and talk to Grandpa Smith. No need. I trust you because you're a soldier, and soldiers value responsibility. I replied with a smile. After that night, things between the two families were settled, and the weight on my grandfather's mind was finally lifted. The wedding was set for 7 days later. After the wedding invitations were printed, I immediately sent a message to my best friend. Sophia, dear, I'm getting married next week. Can you come? Of course. I'll definitely be there. Then you'll be my bridesmaid. It has to be me. I'll go and ask for leave right away. By the way, do you want to tell David? That jerk. Why would I tell him? He's probably with Olivia right now. I thought it was funny and picked up my phone to call him. Sure enough, there was a rapid breathing sound on the other end of the phone. I could imagine what he was doing. Hello. Who is this? His voice sounded a bit tired. David Johnson. My wedding is next week. Would you like to come? I asked calmly. David was obviously stunned for a moment, and then said, Emma, it's too hasty to hold our wedding next week. Besides, I'm still on a business trip out of town. Can we talk about it after I get back? Also, why did you change your phone number? I sneered and said, okay, without waiting for him to say more. I hung up the phone directly, a sarcastic smile curving up my lips. However, he didn't know that the groom at my wedding next week was not him. Making this phone call was just to let him know that I was getting married. As for what he thought, that was his business. I didn't hesitate to delete the call log and set it so that unknown numbers couldn't get through. On this day, Michael Brown came to pick me up to try on wedding dresses, sitting in his car and looking at the scenery speeding by outside the window. My heart was extremely calm. It's still not too late to regret if you want to, he said softly. What? Are you worried that he'll run away? I joked. No, I'm just worried that you'll regret it. Michael's voice was gentle. I raised my eyebrows and said, what's there for me to regret about marrying the most handsome and youngest major in the military region? Others are probably envious of me. Hearing this, Michael smiled gently and said, Emma, you look really beautiful now. Smile more often in the future. Michael, do you really not have a girlfriend or someone you like? It was strange. He was such an outstanding person that it was impossible for him to be single. There is someone I like. But, Michael glanced at me but didn't finish his sentence. I didn't ask him further. We went to try on wedding dresses and took wedding photos. Michael also carefully selected a diamond ring for me. At that moment, I thought such a life was quite good. The day before the wedding, I was about to go out when my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Sophia Miller. She told me that David might have come to Beijing and might come to see me. Sure enough, as soon as I stepped out of the house, I ran into David face to face. His eyes looked extremely flustered. He rushed towards me, grabbed my wrist tightly, and asked in a trembling voice, "Emma, why did you change your phone number and even your WeChat profile picture?" I smiled faintly, with coldness in my eyes. "It's been 2 weeks since what happened. You're just asking now. David, don't you think it's all very ironic?" David was clearly shocked by my words and stood there stunned. Yesterday, Sophia had gone to see him and told him that I was getting married. "What wedding are you talking about?" he asked in confusion. Sophia sneered and said, "What? Are you deaf? Sophia, you." David didn't finish his sentence before Sophia interrupted him. "David, you're really a scumbag. You're just like a dog that can't stop eating shit. Emma was with you for 6 years, and this is how you treat her. Are you worthy of her?" Sophia angrily accused. David was stunned again and said, What did I do?" Sophia took out her phone, found the photos and voice records, and sent them all to David at once. "Don't try to disturb Emma's life anymore. She's getting married," David shouted nervously. "Emma, I suddenly broke free from his hand, took off my coat, and threw it into the nearby trash can without hesitation. David's face instantly turned pale. "Emma, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Not even a little bit," I said coldly. "Why?" he asked. "David, don't you know? You've been with me for 6 years. You must have felt so tired. Right. To be with me. You had to pretend to break up with Olivia. And every time you sneaked around with her behind my back. You must have been so exhausted." I said word by word. "Well, from now on, we're both free. Since you felt tired, let's go back to the beginning and live our own lives." David's pupils suddenly shrank. What do you mean by that?" I smiled, but there was no warmth in my smile. "Isn't it clear enough what I said? And am getting married. I've already asked you if you want to come to my wedding. Since you're here now, have a glass of wedding wine." David clearly didn't expect that the wedding I mentioned wasn't with him. "Aren't you going to marry me?" he asked in confusion. "Oh. If you don't want to marry me, why should I force you? There are people who want to marry me," I replied coldly. "Emma, listen to my explanation," he said anxiously. "Let go." I interrupted him sharply. His grip on my wrist was so tight that it hurt. Just as I was about to kick him, suddenly a figure rushed over and kicked him away. David was kicked to the ground and sat there holding his stomach. Obviously, that kick had used a lot of strength. I turned my head and saw Michael standing in front of me. I asked in surprise, "Didn't you say you'd come at 10? Why are you here so early?" "Give me your hand. Let me have a look," he said, frowning. I stretched out my hand and let him check it. After reading it, he frowned even more tightly. His face filled with displeasure. The moment David Johnson saw Michael Brown, his eyes turned terrified once again. Michael Brown, the youngest major in the capital, with illustrious achievements, was known to all. "Gee, Ling Feng," David murmured to himself. Michael's gaze was as sharp as a knife as he said in a low voice, "Do you know me?" "Yes," David replied, trembling. "Good," Michael said coldly. "Since you know me, I'll make it clear. From now on, Emma Smith is mine. Don't even think about pursuing her." David fled in panic. And Michael, with a stern face, made a phone call. "Yes, that's right. It's the Liu family. David Johnson. I've decided to acquire the company directly. I don't want it in my sight anymore." Curious about what happened next, I pressed Michael for details, but he just smiled and didn't answer. Seeing this, I stopped asking. As night fell, Sophia Miller arrived as promised, and I arranged for her to stay at my home. "Emma, I took a closer look at the invitation today and realized your fiancé is actually Michael Brown." Sophia's voice was full of excitement. I smiled faintly. "What? Has he become your new idol?" "No, it's not that. Don't you remember him?" Sophia looked astonished. I scratched my head. Who? Michael Brown. Remember that trip we took 8 years ago when we encountered those robbers? A man in military uniform saved us. Sophia explained. Hearing this, I vaguely recalled it. But I couldn't connect that image to Michael Brown. You're not telling me that man was Michael Brown, are you? I asked in surprise. It was him. Back then. You grinned, showing off your bright white teeth, and said how handsome that soldier brother was. Asking his name and if he had a girlfriend. Sophia laughed heartily. No way. Are you sure it was me who asked? Not you, I said skeptically. Sophia rolled her eyes at me. Sister, I'm sure it was you. My eyes widened. And I just felt that fate was truly amazing. After Sophia fell asleep, I returned to my room and called Michael. What? Can't sleep. Are you nervous? His voice, gentle and magnetic, came through the phone, making me feel at ease involuntarily. I cleared my throat and asked, Michael, did we know each other before? There was a pause on the other end before he asked softly, what do you think? I think we must have known each other, at least since 8 years ago. Michael, have you had ulterior motives for me since then? I said jokingly. He paused for a moment, then laughed. Yes, I've had ulterior motives for you for a long time, but my past, I wasn't part of the last 6 years, but there will be many more 6-year periods ahead. And I'll spend them all with you. You agreed to the family arrangement because, I probed tentatively. Because of you, he answered without hesitation. The next day, the wedding proceeded as scheduled. Michael had carefully arranged for makeup artists and hairstylists for me, who meticulously applied my makeup and styled my long hair. In the mirror, I looked as if I had been sculpted by an artist, with a faint blush on my cheeks like clouds under the morning glow, and my eyelashes fluttering gently like butterflies about to take flight. Michael wore a custom-tailored black tuxedo that fit him perfectly, accentuating his tall, upright figure and extraordinary handsomeness. My dad tightly held my hand and solemnly placed it in Michael's, his eyes full of expectation. Young man, you better treat my precious daughter well. If you dare bully her, even if the old man is here, I won't stand for it, Michael said earnestly. Don't worry, sir. She's the one who'll be bullying me. Grandpa beamed with satisfaction. Michael, you and Emma must be happy. That's what matters most. Grandpa. My voice choked up. Silly girl. Today is your big day. You should be happy, not crying. Grandpa comforted me. Yes, I know. I nodded. The wedding was held at the military compound, a decision Michael made after consulting me. He said many people in the compound had watched him grow up, and many were his comrades and brothers. He wanted them to witness our happiness together. The compound was bustling with guests who cheered enthusiastically. Wow! Our major has finally gotten married. The bride is so beautiful. Of course, our major is the most handsome and accomplished young man in the capital. Watching these passionate and sincere soldiers, a smile gradually spread across my face. The wedding host was a respected old general. He said affectionately, I feel very honored to witness the happy moment of these two children. I wish you happiness and prosperity, and may you have children soon. Haha, great, great. The guests chimed in enthusiastically. Have children soon. Live happily ever after. The blessings echoed around. Major, kiss her, kiss her. The guests teased. Kiss, kiss. Everyone shouted in unison. Michael Brown looked down at me, his eyes full of tenderness, and asked for my opinion. I shyly lowered my head, my cheeks slightly flushed, and nodded gently. Michael bowed down and gently kissed my lips. At that moment, I trembled as if struck by electricity. The warmth on my lips made my heart race. He whispered softly in my ear, Emma Smith. Thank you for coming into my life. I whispered back. Michael, thank you too, for helping me find my home and calming my heart.